Hello, my friends. This is Paul Drockton and my website, utahvoice.net, where you can also see the articles that relate to this particular video. So today we're going to talk about the history of Venezuela's Smartmatic and Sequoia voting systems. And we're going to start out with the claims made by Dominion voting system. On its webpage, DVS categorically denies assertions about vote switching issues with its voting system. Dominion has never been owned by Smartmatic. That allegations of deletion or switching of votes are completely false. DVS is a nonpartisan U.S. company. There were no DVS software glitches and ballots were accurately tabulated. The results are 100% auditable. No unauthorized, blah, 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 right? In other words, they're saying we're 100% clean in this thing. So the question we have to ask ourselves is, are they? Well, in order to understand the present, we have to go back and look at the history. And this is from a congressional report, and it says a key witness describes first-hand accounts of how Hugo Chavez asked Smartmatic to design a new election system for Venezuela and was most insistent that Smartmatic design the system in a way that the system could change the vote of each voter without being detected. We understand that Smartmatic went on to participate in every Venezuelan election until 2018. The witness goes on to state that in the 2013 election, the Smartmatic electoral management system was used to manipulate and change the results for the person to succeed Hugo Chavez. He adds, persons controlling the vote tabulation computer had the ability to change the reporting of votes by moving votes from one candidate to another by using the Smartmatic software. It is concerning that the creation of such a system could have circumvented the will of the Venezuelan people and contributed to keeping Hugo Chavez and Nicolas Maduro in power while their people suffered greatly. So the question is what's the link, right, between what they were using and what we used in the 2020 presidential race? Well, as I said, first came Smartmatic. In 1997, three Venezuelan engineers, Antonio Mujica, Alfredo Jose Anzola, and Roger Piñate, were the guys that put it together, working for Pana Group. In June 2003, the Venezuelan government bought, through an intermediary, Omar Montillo Castillo, a 28% participation in the company called Vista R&D Software CA for 300 million bolivares. Vista was owned by Antonio Mujica and the late Alfredo Anzola, the same guys that put it together, right? And then basically goes on and says that it was a consortium of companies, Smartmatic, Vista, CanTV, or SBC, contracted by Venezuela to automatize elections. And this, my friends, is from Infodio. I'm going to put their link up on the website. And the rest of this information, again, they deserve credit for the research, so I want to make sure they get it. The sudden wealth allowed Mujica and Anzola to pursue international expansion plans. In 2005, Smartmatic purchased Sequoia voting systems for $16 million from De La Rue. In 2006, an investigation into the purchase and links between Smartmatic and the Chavez regime was launched by the Committee on Foreign Investment in the United States due to an electoral fiasco in Chicago, in which both Smartmatic and Sequoia participated. Instead of submitting to the scrutiny that the CIFIS probe would bring, Smartmatic decided instead to sell Sequoia, blocking further investigations into its convoluted ownership, structure, and shareholders. The Miami Herald reported, a large and powerful investor in the software company that will design electronic ballots and record votes for Venezuela's new and much criticized election system is the Venezuelan government itself. Venezuela Investment in Vista Corp., the ballot software firm, gives the company 28% ownership of the company it will use to help deliver voting results. So there you go. Owned by Venezuela communists. In Caracas, Vista shared its office with Smartmatic, CanTV, Venezuela's publicly held phone company, which provided phone lines to connect the system and election day technical support. It would have been part of any voting system selected for the elections contract. Venezuelan journalist Orlando Ochoa Terrand investigated the claims published by the Miami Herald and discovered that Venezuelan officials were behind the incorporation of Smartmatic. Vice President Jose Vicente Rangel and Venezuelan ambassador to USA Bernardo Alvarez Herrera are intimately related, either through longtime friendship or consanguinity relationship, to the directors of Smartmatic. Now, Venezuela was also behind Sequoia. After analyzing the minutes of a meeting held in Chicago between Cook County and Chicago city officials with the board of Sequoia that remained in charge after the takeover, the Venezuelan investors were outed at a Cook County meeting. And when they were asked who owned Sequoia, the answer came from Honorable David Orr. Smartmatic International, which is owned by a Dutch company, owns Sequoia Voting Systems. Some key investors of the said Dutch company are Venezuelans. And what ended up happening is, because of using their systems in Cook County, 2006, the process was deemed a disaster by officials who went on to argue that electronic voting machines had not performed adequately. Smartmatic flew 15 Venezuelans to Chicago to oversee and monitor the process in violation of U.S. labor and immigration laws. The attention this development generated prompted a series of official probes in Chicago. However, the most important was one initiated by the Committee on Foreign Investment in the United States, at the request of Congresswoman Carolyn Maloney. In May 2006, she wrote to the Department of Treasury to ask if the Committee on Foreign Investment in the United States had reviewed the Smartmatic deal to buy Sequoia, which they had not. And unwilling to submit to CFIUS scrutiny, Smartmatic announced the disposal of Sequoia. But here's the problem we have, my friends. Look, understand this. We're talking about a communist country, hostile, openly hostile to the interests of the United States, currently allied and formerly allied with Communist China, who jointly put together an organization of Latin American countries that refuses to let the U.S. enter their organization, and clearly are intent on exporting Chinese communism throughout Latin America and also throughout the United States. Therein is the scandal. The fact that we have a foreign entity that owned and owns, right, the software being used in American elections. That is the scandal. And the long story short is they dumped Sequoia, and that was to an American company called Hart Intercivic, and they were America's fourth largest voting machine vendor, who then launched the hostile takeover of Sequoia. Hart promised not to compete with Smartmatic in Latin America, the Philippines, and Belgium. In return, Smartmatic promises to grant to Hart a license to use its intellectual property currently found in Sequoia's machines. The fact that Sequoia keeps using technology that does not perform adequately, jointly developed with Smartmatic in U.S. electoral process, was confirmed by Mariana Cutter. So, long story short, what they did is they just took the software and they're using it through another company. That's it. Hart Intercivic. So when you look at the big picture, the question you have to ask yourself is simply this. Why are we using software developed and paid for by one of Communist China's puppet states, Venezuela, which has actively lobbied against the interests of this country? And how is it that these individuals are even permitted to do business in the United States? My friends, this goes deep, and we're gonna take it all the way to the end. This is Paul Drockton. Once again, a big shout out to Infodio for the research. And I promise you one thing, we'll get to the bottom of this, so stay tuned. Again, visit my website, utahvoice.net. God bless. Have a great day.